Hello, happy Sunday. I've got another meal prep session planned for today. I actually did some of it last night, but I'll tell you about that later. What I'll do now is spin you around and show you what we've got planned for this week. You can hear some munching in the background. Copper's eating his food. So we have got Sunday today. So today we're having cheese and ham pie. On Monday, boys having chicken and bacon pasta, and I and myself and my husband are having mint and cabbage bake, which is delicious. The boys don't like that, hence the reason we're having different meals, and I really do like it. So we're having that Monday. Tuesday, we've got chicken, sausage, risotto. Wednesday, we've got Oaty chicken, which I'll serve with salad, sweet potato wedges, maybe some corn on the cob. Thursday, lemon chicken, which is like a Chinese dish. I think it's a hairy dieters dish, which I'll serve probably with some egg fried rice, maybe some peas. And obviously Friday, I just see where I'm up to on Friday and then decide what we fancy. This weekend's been really clear, for the first clear weekend I've had in a while. So I also wanted to batch cook some frozen meals for myself and my husband to have, so that if there's a night where I haven't prepped anything or we just can't be bothered, then I can get one of these out the freezer. So we've got pesto chicken and boodles, which are butternut squash noodles, and chicken and chorizo chilli. So as I mentioned, I did some of the prep last night. I actually got quite a few dishes done last night, so I did film it, so that I'll include that now. I did have 1 or 2 glasses of gin while I was doing it. That's the great thing about doing some meal prep on a Saturday night. It's a lot more pleasurable with a glass of something. So yes, I'll throw that footage in now. And it seems like I must have spent an absolute age in the kitchen this weekend. But like I said, I just had a clear weekend. I managed to get my shopping done Friday, which I never do. So I literally had nothing that I had to do other than we went to see my mum in hospital. So I did take advantage of that and get loads done. This isn't a typical weekend. I wouldn't usually spend this amount of time in the kitchen, but I feel happy. I feel like I've got some really good stuff this week and then some good stuff for the freezer. So I'll throw in the clips now from last night, and then also we'll look at what we're doing today. So at the moment, I've just finished boiling some potatoes. I'm going to mash those. They're going to be the filling for the cheese pie. So I'll show you that in a second. I've got my chicken and chorizo chilli on. This is really straightforward. It's chicken chorizo, onion, garlic, and then whatever veg you want really. I've put some peppers in, I've put some courgettes, and I've put some mushrooms in, and then I put in a tin of kidney beans, a tin of plum tomatoes, and then a tin of chili beans, chili mixed beans, like the tins you get, and that's already in. So I've already lined my tin with pastry, shop-bought pastry, for the cheese pie. So I'm just going to drain my potatoes now, and then I'll show you how I do the filling for my cheese pie. So I've just drained my potatoes. I've just added a little bit of Lurpak, the lighter version. I'm going to just mash it all up, start mashing the potatoes. Now this isn't a recipe that I found anywhere, it's just something I kind of made up, so it might not be the way anybody else makes their filling for their cheese pie, but it's the way my kids seem to like it, and that's fine for me. So I'm going to add some soft cheese, again the lighter version. You can add what you want really, and I know I probably use a lot of lighter versions in my recipes, but that's just because that's just the way we eat. Where we can, we do try and eat lighter versions of things, just to maybe so we can eat more things like crisps and drink more wine and things. So it's all about moderation. So keep mashing that, and then I've got a variety of other cheeses here which I add. And again, if I've got things like, I'm just putting some mozzarella in now. If I've got things like ricotta in, or mascarpone cheese in, then I'll put that on. Anything like that, I basically just try and use what I've got in. So I'm just putting a mixture. Now this is going to be quite a big pie, so it might seem like there's a lot going in here, but it will be quite a big pie. And I'll just keep adding, keep tasting as I go, and then once I'm happy with it, I've got a little bit of grated parmesan here as well. I'm probably going to use the majority of that on the top of the pie. I'm going to add some ham just broken into pieces when I'm happy with it, and then once it's going into the dish with the pastry, then I'll put some cheese on top. So I'll show it you when it's all assembled. So this is the finished cheese and ham pie. Well, finished as in it's made, it's assembled. It'll go in the oven tomorrow when the boys have it, when we all have it, but the boys love this pie so much. It's one of their favourite things. I didn't use all the parmesan actually, I just wanted to point out because it seemed like a lot of parmesan. That's actually for the pesto and chicken butternut squash noodle dish that I'm making, so I thought I'd just grate all that at one point. If you're actually wondering why I do use grated cheese, it's not laziness, I can absolutely assure you. I'm really, really bad at grating cheese or grating anything. The amount of injuries I've had to my fingers and nails that have been grated off, and I'm just very, very clumsy. I actually chopped the whole corner of my finger off once using that big silver knife you can see there. So I just got to the point where I was sick of having sore fingers from grating them. I just don't know whether I just need to get a new grater or what, but anyway, that's why I do buy grated cheese. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I've got all the money in the world to buy things like convenience foods like that. I just really got sick of it. Sick of being so sore. So that's still on. I wanted to just quickly show you this as well while I'm at it. This is the pulled chicken that's been on all day. The slow cooker's actually off now. It's been off for about an hour and a half, but it will stay really warm in there. The boys are having that for the teas tonight. I'm not so sure if I'm going to have that now because I really fancy a salad, which is bizarre considering how gloomy it is outside and how cold it is. I really fancy a salad, but anyway, I'll see. I may well have this. They're going to have that on barm cakes with a bit of cheese and then some halloumi fries. Treat night tonight for them. So yeah, that's where we're up to. Ignore this face. I've taken every bit of makeup off. I've got my scruffs on and my pinny on. Telly on in the background. I've even got a cheeky little glass of gin. This is a good thing about cooking on a Saturday night, or starting to do some cooking on a Saturday night, that you can have a little drink with it. You can't quite do that on a Sunday morning. It's not quite as acceptable. Anyway, we're just going to quick update on where I'm up to. I'll spin you around. So this is the pesto chicken noodles stroke boodles. It's butternut squash. It's not actually noodles. It usually looks quite a bit more red than this because you are meant to use sun-dried tomato pesto in it, but I didn't have any sun-dried tomato. I had normal green pesto, and I thought I'm not buying a full jar of sun-dried tomato pesto when I know that normal pesto works just as nice. It's just as flavoursome. It just doesn't look the same. But yeah, that's that. I have cooked some butternut squash. I've got a big bag of these. I wasn't going to do that today because I ended up spiralising my butternut squash for this dish. I then thought, well, I might as well use the ends of that, as I think I've shown in a previous video, plus I had another butternut squash, so I had the oven on because I was doing the boys' halloumi fries, so I just thought, you know what, let's just get them done. That's done. So the next thing on the list is to do, probably the last thing to be honest, and then I'm going to be done and I'll do the rest tomorrow, is to do the mince and cabbage bake with rice. So I've just sliced up the cabbage now and put it in the pan. Not done anything with that just yet. I just wanted to make a bit of room on the chopping board, to be honest. So I need to wait for this pan, you see. So as soon as this is done, then I'll get started on that. And I'll probably just show you when I'm like halfway through or something, because there's not much to show than like chopping onions and frying onions. And it's a really, really, really nice dish, but it's quite simple. So I will show you when that's all assembled. And then I think I'll probably be pretty much ready for the night then to finish. So going to assemble the last dish for this evening. Oh God, there's bits everywhere. Never mind. So this is the mince and pasta bake. It's really, really tasty. If I can find the link to where I originally got this from, I will link it. I think it's an American recipe because it always talks about cups and things like that, which always makes me confused and always makes me think of American recipes. Now I'm using quite a large dish here because from memory, I've not made this for a little while actually, but from memory it does fill up the dish quite quickly, and my other Pyrex dish isn't the biggest. So you basically layer, so in here, sorry, we've got minced beef, onions, garlic, paprika, rice, cooked rice, tomatoes, tinned tomatoes, and I think I've just put some mixed herbs. So, and I actually had some beef stock. I don't think that's in the recipe, but I quite like adding beef stock. And then you've got a whole plate of cabbage here. I'm just going to use my hands because they're clean. So you basically layer up. So you put a layer of, it's a little bit like a lasagna, I guess, or a moussaka. You layer up, first of all, your mince dish, your mince layer, and then you add your cabbage. And you have to actually pan fry this cabbage first as well. So if you're wondering why it looks a little bit toasty, a bit brown, you pan fry this first, which I think gives it an absolutely delicious flavour. It makes it almost like a little bit seaweedy. I think anything like that, kale, cabbage, anything like that you pan fry or oven roast gives it an almost seaweed flavour, which I absolutely adore, but the calories in seaweed are horrific, so it's really good as a treat. But when you can do stuff like this, it's got a very similar taste and texture. So you layer the cabbage on top. You then add the remaining mixture, the remaining cabbage, you can tell I've had a little bit of gin now. You wouldn't get this on a Sunday morning. You then add the remaining rice, mince, tomatoes, etc. So, sorry if you can't really see this, I'm not quite sure what you can and can't see. Because this dish is so big, you don't get a huge layer in terms of depth, but I'd rather have it like this than have it in my small dish. It just bulges over, and by the time you've added everything else, it's just ridiculous. So there you go. So then you add that, and then you add the last little bit of cabbage to this. Now, what you're meant to do at this stage, if you were having this now, what you would do is start to add some cheese to the top of this. So mozzarella, I'm not going to add much more than that, to be fair, because I think that's quite a lot there because of given how big the dish is. Actually I am. Wait, not one, no, otherwise it'll just end up on my salad, which I'm having, which I've still not quite had yet, and I still don't know why I'm having. You could see the weather outside, you'd think I was absolutely nuts, but I've got a craving. So what I would now add is mozzarella and reduced fat cheddar. I'm not going to add that now because it's so hot. If I add that now, given that we're not eating this until beginning of the week, it would just melt, and then by the time I come to cook it in the oven, already that cheese is melted, which means by the time I put it in the oven, it's just going to get burnt. So I'll leave this like this for now. I'll wrap it up, and then when it comes to baking it earlier on in the week, I'll add the cheese then. I'll do what I always do, wrap it in foil first, because obviously it's not hot when I do it. It's hot now, it's really hot, but when I cook it on Monday, it won't be hot, so I'll need to make sure it's thoroughly heated throughout. It's cooked, but it's just not hot, so there's no risk of anyone getting ill or anything, but it's just not hot. So I'll cover it in foil, put it in for about 20 minutes on 180, and then I'll take the foil off so that the cheese can get nice and bubbly, and cook it again for about 20 minutes. I'll always test the very, very centre point to make sure that that's hot. I've got clean hands, honestly, otherwise I won't be sticking my fingers in it, but I always test the very centre point, check that it's hot. As long as that's hot, it's fine. And that's that. And now we're done until tomorrow, when I'm going to go and watch a movie with my boys. So now I'm assembling the Oaty chicken. I've got 2 chicken breasts I've already assembled too, so I'm just going to show you how I do them. And you have to flatten the breasts, make them quite thin. It just makes it a lot easier to cook, and it makes sure it's cooked through when you do come to cook it. I'm not cooking it now, obviously, and I literally just use a rolling pin in between some cling film. Got some flour, some eggs, and then this is the mixture of oats. It's just literally like porridge oats. And I've flavoured it a little bit with some paprika and some of this garlic and herb salt. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to freeze these as soon as I have coated them, because the chicken breasts need using by today. I can't leave them in the fridge, so they've got to go. We're not having them until later on this week, so I've got to, I'm going to have to freeze them, and then we'll just take them out in the morning that we're eating them. When it comes to actually cooking them, you pan fry them in a little bit of coconut oil. So that's why it's best to have them. So I've got a bit of a frog in my throat this morning. That's why it's best to have them as quite thin, really, just so that you make sure that it doesn't take too long to cook. Pretty sure I've just said that. So you just coat them as much as you can get on there, really. I'm going to try and get them as coated as I can. Then I'm putting them in this bag. I'm hoping to fit them all in without them all ending up on top of each other. And last one. So a bit of flour. Just like that. A little bit of egg mixture. When I serve these, so when it comes to serving these, my husband serves them with his tea that evening. We'll probably have them with salad. I like to do this little honey and mustard dip with them, which is just some creme fraiche mixed with some honey and mustard, funnily enough. And then I might do something like either jacket potato, it might be quite dry. I might do something like sweet potato wedges for the boys as well. Just make sure, obviously, whenever you do anything like this, that you give everything a really good clean, because obviously you've had chicken on your fingers and everywhere, so just make sure that you give everywhere a really good clean. I'm sure everybody knows to do that. But yeah, so that's them done, and I'm going to put them in the freezer. So here it is done. It doesn't really look like that at the moment. It does taste lovely, actually. I've just tried a little bit of the sauce. It does taste really nice. I think I've not put any chilli flakes in because we're eating it all together. Or I don't think the boys would like it with chilli flakes, so I've left the chilli flakes off. But I'm sure once it's actually being dished up on the evening, and I've got it with, I think we're going to serve it with egg fried rice and maybe some veg. Some peas maybe mixed in, then hopefully it will look like the picture a bit more, but it does taste really nice. Okay, I'm going to move on now to my chicken sausage meatball risotto. So as you can see, I've already started assembling. While that was cooking, let me just turn it off actually. I've started assembling the sausage meatballs, which are just breadcrumbs, this garlic and herb salt, bit of pepper, I think that's it. So I'm going to start on those now, and then after I've done this, all I need to do is the chicken and bacon sauce for the pasta, and then I'm done. Yes! I've started frying off the chicken sausage meatballs. I'm doing them in 2 batches, there's still some left in here, just because I'm not using a flat frying pan because mine's awful. I'm using a wok. I don't want to overcrowd the pan and risk them not being cooked through. So I'm going to do that in 2 batches. Once I've cooked these, I remove them from the pan, and then I just make a sauce with onions, garlic, tomatoes, stock, and then add the risotto, and then you add the meatballs back to the pan. I'm also going to put in, kept hold of the rind of the parmesan yesterday when I was grating it, so I'm going to throw that in. So I'll probably come back to you when this is all done. This is the risotto now, the chicken sausage risotto. As you can see, it soaked up all of the juices. So I'm just going to find that rind that I put in earlier. Let's just dump this for now. There it is. Oh, nice. I will sort that out in a bit, and then I'm just going to add a few frozen peas. You can add them straight from the freezer. Really, they cook so quickly. Hang on, it's not that easy with one hand. Right, bear with me. We've got the peas in there now. So this is this dish done now. When we do serve it, we'll just add some grated parmesan to it. And then that's it. All done. Time to clean. We're done. Thank goodness. So up here we've got the mince and cabbage bake. I've now added cheese to it because it's cooled down, so that's fine. That's a huge portion. So what I'll do is myself and my husband will have half on Monday night, and then I'll freeze the other 2 portions and they can go away for another night. We've got the chicken sausage meatball risotto. Oops, sorry, there's my shadow there, which is looking delish. The lemon chicken, which isn't looking quite as delicious, but it does taste nice. Got the cheese and ham pie, which is for today, and then I've taken the Oaty chicken out of the freezer just to show you, and it'll go straight back in the freezer then. We've got the chicken and bacon sauce, which will go with the pasta. I found before, I have tried to do the whole thing ready, so I put the pasta with it and put it in a dish ready to go, but I found the pasta, no matter how cooked it is, still continues to absorb the juices from the sauce, so you end up with it quite dry, so that's why I do it separate now. It just means on Monday all my husband has to do is cook some pasta and then mix it with that. Some butternut squash roasted there, and then we've got the freezer meals, stuff that's going away. So we've got 3 chicken and chorizo chilies and 3 chicken pesto butternut squash noodle dishes. And there we go. That's everything. Now I'm going to put it all away and have a nice cup of coffee.